What if everything you thought was real was nothing more than lines of code? A clandestine book, once whispered about in academic circles, now scrubbed from the internet, claims to hold irrefutable proof. What implications does this have on our true existence and the very nature of control? If the pages of this suppressed text hold the key, then understanding simulation theory isn't some abstract philosophical exercise. It's about unlocking your potential. Imagine a reality where limitations are merely programmed constraints, where the impossible is simply a line of code waiting to be rewritten. This isn't just about questioning reality. It's about revolutionizing your understanding of who you are, what you're capable of, and your place in this vast, simulated universe. We are about to embark on an exploration that transcends conventional boundaries. Prepare to challenge your limiting beliefs, ignite a sense of empowerment, and unlock entirely new possibilities, all while navigating the uncharted waters of quantum physics, deciphering the enigma of ancient wisdom traditions, probing the depths of consciousness studies, and venturing into the controversial realms of conspiracy theories. Let's cut to the chase. What exactly is simulation theory? It's more than just a supered-up version of virtual reality or an augmented reality overlaying itself upon the existing world. Simulation theory posits that our entire reality, from the smallest subatomic particle to the grandest cosmic event, is a meticulously crafted computation running on some unfathomable cosmic computer. Forget the headsets and haptic suits. If this theory holds true, everything is code. The chair you're sitting on, the screen you're looking at, even your own thoughts and feelings, all part of the simulation. We must recognize that this is a reality constructed from the ground up and understand our role within it. Take, for instance, the way different people experience the same event. A car accident, for example, can be remembered through the lens of trauma or through the lens of a near-death experience. This illustrates the subjective nature of our reality, where personal perception, unwavering beliefs, and the very essence of our consciousness play a vital role in shaping our individual experience. But if we are indeed living in a simulation, who are the programmers? What is their ultimate goal? Are we mere players in their grand game, or do we have the ability to interact with, and potentially even alter, the code itself? What could they possibly gain from creating this elaborate illusion? Perhaps the simulators are running countless iterations of reality to study different societal models or historical outcomes, or maybe they're simply running this as entertainment. Consider the mathematical anomalies that persistently surface in our world, such as the ubiquitous Fibonacci sequence governing patterns throughout nature, from the spiraling petals of a sunflower to the precise curve of a breaking wave. Or ponder the symbolic archetypes found in diverse cultures across the globe, echoing similar narratives and mythical beings. These examples are mere suggestions of programming. Then there are the glitches, the unexplained phenomena that defy the conventional laws of physics. If we are living in a simulation, what does that make the simulators? Are they benevolent guardians, indifferent observers, or malevolent puppeteers pulling our strings? What exactly are their motives, and what does this mean for free will? Moreover, what secrets lie within the pages of this banned book? Who dared to write it? Why was it deemed so dangerous that it had to be suppressed? And what irrefutable evidence does it hold that could shatter our perception of reality? Have you ever experienced déjà vu, so strong it felt like you were reliving a memory? Or perhaps you've had a string of uncanny coincidences that defied statistical probability. What if these aren't just random occurrences, but rather glimpses behind the curtain, subtle cracks in the facade of our simulated world? In the coming segments, we will delve into the tantalizing answers. We will arm you with the knowledge and techniques to test the fabric of your reality, to challenge the illusion, and perhaps, just perhaps, to glimpse the true nature of the world beyond the code. But who penned these forbidden insights, and why were they so threatening to the established order? The book, titled The Algorithmic Universe, was purportedly written by Dr. Aris Thorne, a theoretical physicist who vanished from public life shortly after its completion. Whispers suggest Dr. Thorne, funded by a shadowy organization, stumbled upon anomalies within established physics equations, anomalies that only made sense if our reality was a computationally rendered environment. But the organization panicked at his discoveries and terminated the funding and tried to bury his research. Thorne, however, self-published a limited run of his book before disappearing entirely, leaving behind a tantalizing yet dangerous legacy. The book's central argument hinges on the idea that the universe operates on a fundamentally digital level, much like a complex video game. Thorne argued that if you zoom in close enough, you'll find that the universe is pixelated. He believed that the universe is governed by precise mathematical laws. However, he discovered some subtle, almost imperceptible deviations from these laws. These anomalies, he posited, couldn't be explained by any known physical phenomena. He argued that these deviations are actually rounding errors inherent in any computational process. This implied that our entire reality is not continuous and analog as it seems, but fundamentally discrete and digital. This wasn't some philosophical musing. Thorne backed it up with complex mathematical models. He argued that these anomalies could be measured and even potentially manipulated. But the book didn't just lay out a theoretical framework. It claimed to identify specific patterns or codes woven into the fabric of reality itself. One compelling pattern that the book identified was the prevalence of self-referential structures throughout the cosmos. From the fractal patterns of snowflakes to the spiraling arms of galaxies, Thorne argued that nature seems to be constantly echoing itself at different scales. He saw this as a sign of recursive programming, where a relatively simple set of rules can generate incredibly complex and diverse phenomena. Think of a Mandelbrot set. A simple equation can be infinitely magnified to reveal never-ending complex patterns. The same code is repeated at different scales. Is this a sign of intelligent design, or just a natural byproduct of complex systems? More specifically, Dr. Thorne zeroed in on the fine structure constant, a dimensionless number that governs the strength of electromagnetic interaction. This number is crucial for the existence of stable atoms, and therefore for life as we know it. The odd thing is that the value of this constant appears to be finely tuned to an almost impossible degree. If it were even slightly different, stars wouldn't form and atoms wouldn't hold together. Dr. Thorne demonstrated this with his own calculations and argued this level of precision cannot be mere coincidence. He believed it was a telltale sign of deliberate design, a carefully chosen parameter set by the simulators. Is this fine-tuning evidence of a benevolent creator, or just a carefully calibrated setting in a cosmic simulation? But if our reality is a simulation, then surely there would be glitches in the matrix. Right. Thorne dedicated an entire chapter to cataloging these potential anomalies, presenting them not as isolated incidents, but as evidence of a systemic flaw in the code. Consider, for instance, the Mandela effect, where large groups of people share the same false memories. The most famous example is the spelling of the Berenstain Bears. Many people remember it as Berenstain Bears, but the correct spelling is Berenstain. Is this just a quirk of memory, or is it a sign that the simulation has been subtly altered, leaving behind mismatched memories in its wake? Thorne argued that the Mandela effect could be a result of the simulators making small tweaks to the past, causing inconsistencies in our collective memory. What about the phenomenon of déjà vu, where we experience a sense of familiarity with a place or event we've never encountered before? Thorne theorized that déjà vu might be a brief glimpse into a previous iteration of the simulation, a fleeting echo from a past life or a parallel reality. Or what about documented cases of spontaneous human combustion, where individuals inexplicably burst into flames without any external source of ignition? Thorne speculated that these could be instances where the simulation's energy matrix malfunctions, resulting in a sudden and catastrophic release of energy. Perhaps these are instances where the system is being updated, and our minds perceive the changes inaccurately. These glitches, Thorne argued, aren't just random occurrences, but rather windows into the underlying code of the simulation. He believed that by studying these anomalies, we could gain a better understanding of the rules that govern our reality, and perhaps even find ways to manipulate them. What glitches have you experienced? Share your stories in the comments section below so we can explore these possible cracks in our reality together. But these glitches only hint at a deeper truth. What if our very perception of reality is being manipulated? What if the code isn't just out there, but woven into the fabric of our own minds? To understand how this manipulation might work, we need to delve into the strange and counterintuitive world of quantum physics. Quantum physics suggests that the act of observation can fundamentally alter the outcome of an event. Take the famous double-slit experiment, for example. When electrons are fired through two slits, they create an interference pattern on a screen behind them as if they were waves. However, when scientists try to observe which slit each electron passes through, the interference pattern disappears, and the electrons behave like particles. This suggests that the very act of observing the electrons changes their behavior. Could this be because consciousness is a fundamental component of reality, and our minds have the ability to influence the quantum realm? Another mind-bending concept in quantum physics is quantum entanglement, where two particles become linked together in such a way that they share the same fate, no matter how far apart they are. If you measure the properties of one particle, you instantly know the properties of the other, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance, because it seemed to violate the laws of physics. Could this entanglement be a result of the simulators using a common code to render two disparate objects? Thorne argued that these quantum phenomena provide compelling evidence for the simulation hypothesis. He believed that quantum mechanics is not just a description of reality, but rather the underlying physics engine of the simulation. He theorized that the observer effect is a result of the simulators rendering reality on demand, only when it's being observed. Think of a video game. The computer only renders the parts of the world that the player is currently looking at to save processing power. Similarly, Thorne proposed that the universe only comes into existence when it's being observed by a conscious observer. What does that say about the nature of our existence? What happens when nobody is looking? Moreover, Thorne saw quantum entanglement as a way for the simulators to instantly transmit information across vast distances within the simulation, bypassing the limitations of space and time. It would be like the programmers having a universal admin panel, where they can instantly manipulate any object in the game. But if quantum physics is the physics engine of the simulation, then who wrote the code? Where did this knowledge come from? Perhaps the answer lies in the whispers of ancient wisdom traditions. For millennia, philosophers and spiritual teachers have described reality as an illusion, a dream, or a projection. In Hinduism, the concept of Maya refers to the illusory nature of the world, suggesting that our senses deceive us into believing that the material world is real, when in fact it's just a temporary manifestation of a deeper, more fundamental reality. In Plato's famous allegory of the cave, prisoners are chained in a cave, only able to see shadows projected on the wall. They mistake these shadows for reality, unaware of the true world outside the cave. Similarly, many ancient mystery schools taught that the material world is just a shadow of a higher, more spiritual realm. These traditions often speak of the limitations of human perception and the need to transcend the illusion of the senses in order to perceive reality as it truly is. Is it really so far-fetched to suggest all these ancient cultures independently stumbled upon the nature of the simulation? Thorne saw striking parallels between these ancient teachings and the simulation hypothesis. He argued that the idea of a simulated reality is not new, but rather a recurring theme throughout human history. He He proposed that ancient mystics and shamans may have tapped into the underlying code of the simulation through altered states of consciousness, gaining glimpses into the true nature of reality. Consider the concept of karma in many Eastern religions, the idea that our actions have consequences that ripple through the universe, shaping our future experiences. Thorne interpreted this as a form of programmed consequences within the simulation, where our choices determine our fate. The book goes on to say that perhaps near-death experiences are glimpses behind the code. The tunnel of light, the feeling of oneness with the universe, these experiences could be attributed to an individual briefly disconnecting from the simulation and seeing the underlying structure that unites all things. Is it just a coincidence that so many different cultures, separated by vast distances and time periods, have all converged on the same basic idea? That reality is not what it seems. What if everything you've ever believed about the world is just a story being told to you, a carefully constructed narrative designed to keep you plugged into the simulation? It's a disturbing question, but one we must confront. The implications of this are staggering. What does it mean for our sense of self, our purpose in life, our understanding of the universe? If we are living in a simulation, then who or what created it? And what exactly are their motives? Let's delve deeper into the rabbit hole and explore the truly mind-bending possibilities. According to the algorithmic universe, the nature of the simulators is perhaps the greatest mystery of all. Are they advanced beings from another dimension, running the simulation for scientific research or entertainment? Are they future versions of ourselves, trying to understand their past or alter their destiny? Or are they something completely beyond our comprehension, entities so alien that we can't even begin to imagine their motives? Thorne explored all these possibilities in his book, drawing on a wide range of sources, from science fiction to ancient mythology. He pointed out that many cultures throughout history have believed in the existence of gods or supernatural beings who control the fate of humanity. Perhaps these gods are not supernatural at all, but rather the programmers of our simulation. Maybe these programmers are experimenting with different realities, but what would be their motives? Are they running the simulation to study different societal models, to learn from our mistakes, or simply to see what happens? Are we lab rats in a cosmic experiment, or are we actors in a grand play? The algorithmic universe suggests a disturbing possibility: that the simulators may not even be aware of our existence. Perhaps they created the simulation as a kind of background process, a way to generate random data or test new algorithms. In that case, we would be nothing more than digital ants, living out our lives in a virtual world without ever knowing that we are not real. What does this mean for free will? Are our actions predetermined by the code, or do we have the ability to make genuine choices? If the simulation is deterministic, then everything that has happened and everything that will happen is already set in stone. We are just puppets dancing on strings, with no real control over our own lives. But Thorne argued that even if the simulation is deterministic, that doesn't necessarily mean that our lives are meaningless. He believed that we still have the freedom to choose how we respond to our circumstances, to find meaning and purpose in our existence, even if our choices are ultimately predetermined. Moreover, he suggested that the simulators may have built in a certain degree of randomness into the simulation to make it more unpredictable and lifelike. Perhaps our choices do matter in some small way, and we have the ability to influence the course of events, even within the confines of the simulation. And if that's the case, how can we learn to better interact with this simulated world? The algorithmic universe dedicates a large part of its pages to how we might be able to interact with or even influence the simulation. Thorne dives deep into techniques like lucid dreaming, remote viewing, and even manifesting our desires. Lucid dreaming, the practice of becoming aware that you are dreaming, could allow you to manipulate the laws of physics within your dream world, testing the boundaries of what is possible. Remote viewing, the ability to perceive distant locations or events without using your physical senses, might be a way to tap into the underlying code of the simulation, accessing information that is normally hidden from us. And manifestation, the act of bringing your desires into reality through focused intention, could be a way to directly influence the simulation, altering the course of events to align with your will. Thorne also explores documented cases of mind-matter interaction, such as the placebo effect, psychic phenomena, and spontaneous remission. The placebo effect, where a fake treatment can sometimes produce real healing effects, suggests that our beliefs and expectations can directly influence our physical bodies. Psychic phenomena, such as telepathy, clairvoyance, and precognition, challenge the conventional understanding of space and time, hinting at the possibility of non-local connections between minds and events. And spontaneous remission, where terminal illnesses inexplicably disappear without medical intervention, suggests that our bodies have the ability to heal themselves through the power of belief and intention. The algorithmic universe mentions experiments that have shown that intention can affect the outcome of quantum experiments, with the observer's expectations influencing the behavior of subatomic particles. So, what experiments can we conduct ourselves? Thorne suggests paying attention to synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem too improbable to be random. He advises viewers to attempt to predict random events as well, and to keep a journal of your successes and failures. Perhaps by hunting our intuition and paying attention to the subtle signs around us, we can learn to navigate the simulation more effectively. The book urges viewers to practice mindfulness, focusing on the present moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By quieting the mind and becoming more aware of our inner world, we can tap into a deeper level of consciousness, one that may be more closely connected to the source of the simulation. In fact, even if we are trapped inside of a game, it may still be possible to learn to bend the rules in our favor. Ultimately, Thorne argues that even if we are living in a simulation, we still have the power to shape our experience and create a meaningful life. Understanding the rules of the simulation can allow us to play the game more effectively, to manifest our desires, and to find fulfillment and happiness even in a virtual world. But to truly understand the nature of this game, we need to look beyond the confines of our own minds and explore the deeper symbolism that permeates our culture and our history. What are the recurring symbols, archetypes, and narratives that appear throughout mythology, religion, and art? Could these be clues left by the simulators, or are they simply inherent aspects of the simulation's code? The algorithmic universe proposes that these hidden symbols could be keys to unlocking the secrets of the simulation. Sacred geometry, the study of geometric shapes and their symbolic meanings, is one area that Thorne explores in great detail. He points to the prevalence of shapes like the circle, the triangle, and the square in ancient art and architecture, suggesting that these shapes may represent fundamental aspects of the simulation's structure. Mandalas, complex geometric diagrams used in Eastern religions, could be maps of the simulation's underlying code, representing different levels of consciousness and reality. Alchemical symbols, used by medieval alchemists in their quest to transform base metals into gold, may represent the process of transforming our own consciousness, of awakening to the true nature of reality. Thorne argues that these symbols are not just random images, but rather carefully designed representations of the simulation's underlying principles. What if these symbols were a form of language? The book says these images might be instructions. Thorne connects these symbols and archetypes to concepts that we have previously discussed. Sacred geometry connects to the way our world is coded, while mandalas represent the quantum nature of reality, where the observer has an effect on the observed. Alchemical symbols can then be a way to break down one reality and build a new one. By connecting these symbols to quantum phenomena or glitches in the matrix, the author attempts to construct a logical and coherent framework to support his simulation theory. How can we determine whether our reality is a dream or a simulation? Perhaps the most profound insight from The Algorithmic Universe is that the very definition of real and illusion may be relative or even meaningless within a simulated reality. If our entire universe is just a computer program, then what does it mean to say that it's not real? Is a character in a video game any less real than a human being? They may not exist in the physical world, but they still have their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. The book states the ultimate goal may not be to escape the simulation, but rather to understand it, to master it, and to transcend its limitations. Like a character learning to manipulate the video game they exist inside. The Algorithmic Universe urges us to remember we are active co-creators with the potential to shape our own reality. Our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions have a powerful influence on our experience. So, if we are living in a simulation, what will we do with that knowledge? Will we succumb to despair, or will we rise to the challenge and create a better world, even within the confines of the code? So, if we are living in a simulation, what's the ultimate takeaway from The Algorithmic Universe? It's not just about accepting that we are in a simulation, but understanding the specific nature of the simulators, and more importantly, our potential within the matrix. According to Dr. Thorne, the simulators are not external overlords, but likely future versions of ourselves. These future selves are running countless simulations, attempting to learn from past iterations, correct mistakes, and explore different possibilities, so our choices within this reality ripple outwards, influencing their efforts and the trajectory of future simulations. Those glitches, quantum anomalies, and echoes of ancient wisdom, they are not random errors, but rather the interconnected pieces of a larger puzzle, feedback mechanisms, or debugging tools used by our future selves to guide and refine the simulation and our experience within it. What does it mean to live in a simulation? It means that reality is not fixed or predetermined. It's a dynamic and malleable construct, constantly being shaped by the choices and consciousness of those within it, as well as the intentions of the simulators. The book suggests we shift our perspective from seeing ourselves as passive observers to active co-creators of reality. We are not merely puppets dancing on strings, but rather participants in a grand experiment with the ability to influence the very fabric of the simulated world. The power lies not in escaping the simulation, but in understanding its rules and learning to play the game more effectively. If our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions have a direct impact on reality, how do we use that potential to create the best possible version of the game? Zooming out, how does the simulation hypothesis relate to the age-old philosophical questions about the nature of existence, consciousness, and purpose? The book's banned status speaks to the powerful implications it contains. Thorne connects the simulation hypothesis to the search for meaning, that innate desire for transcendence that burns within all of us. Those glitches we talked about, quantum phenomena, those ancient symbols. They aren't just random anomalies, but possibly ways for the simulators to communicate with us, nudges or winks suggesting the true nature of our reality, or for us to glimpse, however fleetingly, the underlying code. By recognizing these glitches and taking action, we can influence the code for the better. Understanding the simulation hypothesis also has practical implications for our daily lives. It can change how we approach our relationships, how we pursue our careers, and even how we define our sense of self. If reality is malleable, then we can overcome our limiting beliefs and achieve our goals, reshaping our lives through focused intention and conscious action. That power to create a better reality also extends to the simulation as a whole. With this understanding, it can lead to greater self-awareness, compassion, and a sense of interconnectedness with all things. If we are all part of the same simulation, then we are all fundamentally connected, our fates intertwined. The mystery of the banned book, the nature of the simulators, the possibility of interaction, these are all threads that the algorithmic universe weaves together into a single tapestry. And while the true identity of Dr. Aris Thorne and the exact reasons for the book's suppression may remain shrouded in mystery, its message of empowerment continues to resonate. The quantum physics, the esoteric symbolism, and the simulation theory are all different lenses through which we can view the same underlying reality. Even if our reality is not a perfect simulation, the ideas explored in the book can still help us to live more consciously and creatively. Perhaps you're still left with questions, perhaps even a little doubt. Is this really just a theory? Yes, the simulation hypothesis is just a theory, but it's a theory that can empower us to live more meaningful and fulfilling lives. It's a theory that encourages us to question our assumptions, to explore the mysteries of reality, and to tap into our own creative potential. But what if this is just one simulation nested within countless others? Or what if we are able to hack the code of this world? Are we ready to know what's on the other side? I encourage you to delve deeper into these questions. Explore the works of philosophers, scientists, and spiritual teachers who have grappled with similar ideas. Visit websites, read books, and experiment with practices that resonate with you. The journey of discovery is never truly over, and there's always more to learn. And please, share your own thoughts, experiences, and insights in the comments section below. Have these ideas changed your perspective on reality? What new questions have they sparked? Together, we can create a community of fellow explorers, seeking to unlock the secrets of the universe, one simulation at a time. And be sure to subscribe, because in our next video, we'll delve even deeper and explore some of the ways we can begin to consciously hack the code of our reality, influencing the matrix in ways we never thought possible. Thank you for joining me on this mind-bending journey. The journey is complete because you were never separate from your home.